Rich, thank you. Today is Tuesday, 10/16. I'm going to do a quick current day update. It's obvious I most likely have my phone and electric and everything else for this week coming up. I can't say it's happened yet. It's going to be that close. None of this should have happened. Not one bit of this. If I knew that I entered into a political environment and special interests where such serious criminal activity is so out of control, I would have immediately picked up my bags and headed back up north. Immediately. At this point, something like this is absolutely unheard of. Someone with the background that I come from, without any question, with that business experience I was able to gain, I am definitely considered, without any question, some very valuable career experience. Most people will not be fortunate enough to be able to achieve that. I was. I don't even question. When I came down here, I was exactly in the same context of what I've experienced my entire life. This would be all over the newspapers in Lake County. Never tolerated. Down here, the first day, I don't even question. Those medical records were falsified. But it's the correction that really matters. That's what really matters. Is the healthy dynamics of exactly towards the intended purpose. That's where you'd be able to get it on psychological malpractice. No matter how severely I've been injured, no matter how severely, I would be able to incorporate with resources very much correctly, channeled correctly. I don't even question. I would reincorporate right back in to that Chicagoland North Shore. There's absolutely no reason someone with that type of experience, it would be a huge psychological malpractice and a very high profile, outstanding example that these southern states haven't seen in decades. Will it be achievable, though? Well, that's beyond my control, unfortunately. But I believe up and down the Chicagoland North Shore, there would certainly be a considerable amount of agreement with what I had stumbled upon. With all it took was a helping hand. That's all it took. None of that is me. Absolutely none of this is medical. None of it. And that's all it is. It's nothing more than psychological manipulation to an extreme degree of committing felonies. That's an incorporated norm. And that help you will certainly find as an incorporated norm. I've heard about things like this before. I would never believe in my lifetime, with the background that I come from, that anything like this could happen. It could happen to you too, or anyone. It's outright predatory. The entire political environment, what stays only as number one, the most serious boundary violations will cross it into 2 or 3s when it's only 1. And I'd like to know where creating that success. You need expertise or experience. That's so vitally important. I understand that in agreement, I'm very fortunate in that respect. If I were to be incorporated back in the Chicagoland North Shore, and it would take some work, I don't even question that I would incorporate and readapt very quickly. Within 6 months to a year, I would be living a perfectly normal life again. I don't even question how serious that would be. I'm used to a CEO and the very highest level of expertise being my supervisor. I understand I've been extremely fortunate to gain that type of business experience. Absolutely, it's highly in demand. Unfortunately, I have been affected by not even being involved in a political and special interest environment that psychology is way beyond steroids, and it is truly a fully incorporated norm, well beyond steroids, all of it. This would never be tolerated in Lake County. Yes, felonies, most serious form of criminal activity, fully incorporated as a norm. That's as honest as I can be. I am not involved in it. I just simply, it's well beyond the capacities. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's falsified medical records, and what I understand up north on the Chicagoland North Shore or anywhere in Lake County, that is considered psychological malpractice, plain and simple. It would always be a correction on A is A. It would never, and of the most serious, I am not kidding you when I say all the way from the point of that incorporated norm of what you would expect a correction all the way up through President Bush. Every single bit of that is nothing more than a feeding farm. What is right is completely compromised. I've been through the whole thing. This is an area by nature where the most serious boundary violations, the very most serious boundary violations, is a norm. And what will you find? You will only find medical when absolutely none of it, not one single bit of it, not one single bit is medical in any manner. It's through the whole education system. These are very powerful special interests that never would be tolerated. A criminal environment, and I honestly have to say, absolutely. I take it, I understand this is all medical corruption. That's the truth, most likely, why this did happen. And I don't even question I've had felonies committed against me. For the remaining of this week, though, no matter how much I've been beaten down, I'm going to continue on with my career. Far from optimum. It's certainly not in the professional context. It wouldn't have taken much. In addition, let me just update here. I had somebody approach me and I knew earlier. I've been very nice about this. I don't know how in the world this guy concocted this one, but I was led to believe by an agreement that we made that was of the most professional nature and should have been all success. I had no idea. In all actuality, it probably is considered stalking. How did he concoct something like that? I can tell you this much. If I knew this guy was on drugs, that's why I ended it immediately. I expect nothing but denial. That will not work. It was I knew him years ago, and there's absolutely nothing whatsoever in our past. There's nothing. It's clean. We knew each other in 7th grade, in the same village and city that we grew up in, and we went fishing one time. There is nothing in our past until one day he decided what I understand is equivalent in all actuality. When you look at this, that he used at a very highly specialized profession to actually gain control over me with a completely ulterior motive. And my understanding is it was used to gain control over me. I had no idea. I overlooked it. And my understanding is, when it's all said and done, you're not kidding, he's talking about private practice chiropractor and naturopathy. And I have a feeling that went on in the family domestically for decades. I don't even question that now. It will all be denial. In all actuality, I have had a drug addict stalk me. All of this could have been success. It is obvious. Instead, he used that profession of what most likely occurred domestically over the decades. That is very serious. That is very serious. And I expect that truth to come out. And it will certainly be partnering up all right to somehow incorporate me back into that Chicago North Shore one way or another. I don't even question, as I've mentioned, if by what has happened here from day one, I realize without any question, it's impossible. That's falsified medical records. If I knew I was in an incorporated norm like that, I would have immediately relocated to Lake County, where something like this, of the most serious injuries, would never occur in Lake County. It's unheard of. But this is the incorporated norm of Birmingham. Very much so. I just am someone who is an outsider who stumbled on down here believing it's exactly Lake County. And good luck in finding any sort of legal representation. Oh, someone certainly is able to expose what I understand would be the highest level of criminal activity in decades. I don't even question if I was to be incorporated back in the Chicagoland North Shore. That would absolutely be a huge, high-profile exposure without any question. Now, would it actually be achieved, though? I need a little bit of hand in that respect. But absolutely, this is of the most serious form of criminal activity fully incorporated as a norm. I didn't know it. I had to go through the experience, learn it, experience it, and grow. And unfortunately, I'm not even involved in any of it. Believe me, that is not help in any manner, and that is the incorporated norm of help out here. That's, as I mentioned, if I'm meant to serve, I certainly will. With that, put this remaining week, no matter how severely I've been injured, and far from optimum. Yes, there is a realistic market without any question. Without any question. The damage hasn't been done yet, and there's no reason for me to do anything different if I'm able to pull myself out of this. I'm continuing on. It could be any moment. I'm thrown into homelessness at this point. Thank you once again for getting to know me. I'm really glad here I've been able to conclude and share with you, undoubtedly, what I understand, not what I believe, what I've learned here, what I have learned here. That I understand my perception is accurate. This is of the most serious nature. This is very serious. This is outright felons of that, because my nature of where I come from. I've built on curiosity. I've exactly as stated. I'm coming back to you, and I'm sharing it. Normally, that's how I learn and grow and learn what's true about myself. In this case, though, thank you for getting to know me. as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to do everything in my power this week to continue on no matter how much I've been injured. We do recover, absolutely, regardless of how seriously that injury is. I will recover. Thank you for getting to know me, really. My name is Rich, and my history originates from up in Lake County, Illinois, just north of Chicago. Pretty much with 35 years. That's the only incorporated norm I know of. I've experienced the very best, where something like this is absolutely unheard of. It would be never tolerated. It'd be all over the newspapers, I'm sure, what has happened here with me. Thank you. Thank you for investing the time, and this is the last update I'm expecting to do this week, unless unexpectedly I am thrown into homelessness and it then becomes too late. It'll never be too late, though. We heal. We heal. I believe that would happen. It would be a complete waste. Thank you very much for getting to know me. Listen. Everything I've stated, I absolutely promise you, it's 100% honest. This all could have been in the healthiest context, and it should have been. It should have been. There's unheard of. Yes, things like this go on all the time in this incorporated norm with what only remains and there are the most absolutely serious, and I mean the most serious, boundary violations all the way up. All the way up. It is nothing but medical when absolutely none of it is medical. I do not know what they're educationally teaching or any special interest or any of this influence on society. I do know that I am not involved in any of it. Thank God. Thank God. And I never would want to be. That is not success. And when you really come down to it, the request I made, it couldn't have been simpler. I have to take it that there's a tremendous influence as an incorporated norm. What's true about me up north is in completely different context down here. And I do mean powerful. That political environment and the special interest, this is something I didn't even know what a special interest was. This is something I would never want to know about. I would have immediately picked up my bags and headed back up north if I even had the slightest reservation. And normally you would adapt to it. In this case, ultimately it's absolute survival. I'd get myself out of this situation as quickly as possible. Thank you for getting to know me and letting me share that. Incorporated, who am I to say? Because I've learned it, I've experienced it, I've grown from it. I can certainly discern the difference between the two, and absolutely none of that medical, but every bit of it is. That's help. You won't find any substance of true help. It's non-existent. And yet, where I come from, all of that would be a correction. That's highly valued. So thank you for investing the time to getting to know me. I'm thoroughly honest on these rough drafts all the way up. I will grow indefinitely. I understand it's most healthy. It is most healthy. I'm able to do this. I have sought nothing to bring out any of this. It's all there. And now I'm sharing, which hopefully will get to be the very healthiest context. That's all I know. That you won't find, though. It's it operates almost in a dysfunctional state. Yeah. I understand this is very common in these southern states. Thank you for letting me share that with you.